Alright, we're ready. I started playing this game, Farming Simulator 19. So wondering how to make money. I saw this post on Reddit. I think it's Sticky, FS19 Yield and Profit Analysis. The short of it is they're saying corn silage is the best way to make money, but I saw the measurements were profit per acre. And really what I'm interested in is profit per hour. I played around with corn and with grass silage for a little bit, and I think grass was doing pretty well in terms of time, so I wanted to measure it and see how I did there. Here it says haylage. I noticed I could turn the grass into hay and then make silage out of that, but I did a test. I made some silage out of grass, some silage out of hay, and they were both the same, so I figured I'd save the time of using the tedder and drying the grass and just use raw grass. That's what I'm going to go ahead and do in this run. So before I start the timer, I'm going to look at the setup here real quick. In terms of lands, I just have the two, Field 12, which is across from the biogas plant, and the biogas plant itself. Biogas is like 800,000, and the field next to it's like 430,000. In terms of items, this is what I'm using right now. I'll use the small tractor for compaction, the big tractor to carry the tipper over here, using this guy to mow the grass, the big M450. These are the two rollers that I have hooked up to the small tractor. And a couple conveyors to get things out of the silo in the house, of course, so I can go to sleep and make time go by quickly. About set up to go here. Go ahead and start that timer and see how we do. So we got our first truck. I'll go ahead and move that over to the biogas plant. You'll notice I set up the worker or the helper to mow the field. It will eat into my profits, but I feel like it saves me a little time. I'll have to do a run with and without that. Compare how much money I make per hour. But he's going to go ahead and keep on mowing the grass. I'll go drop this over here at biogas. I'll show you later how my conveyor system works, but they're spaced out pretty specifically right now. I'm going to bring down my cruise control speed to 7. It's a pretty safe speed to go. I'll turn on cruise control and start the unloading. I'm going to try and get it on the sides of these things right here. I really hope that's off so it doesn't pull the chaff up in there. You can get I've read the term, some people call it chaff blocks, where your conveyors get full of chaff and then they won't pick up silage. It's happened to me a couple times. You got to be really careful to keep those things off when you're filling up. You'll also notice I started the run not planting the grass. I was thinking about how to do this, what kind of run I could do here versus what kind of run I could do with corn, and I got to thinking in terms of corn. Every time you're gonna harvest the field, you're gonna have to plow and cultivate, plant your seeds and all this. But with grass, that's not the case. You just plant it the one time, and you can keep on harvesting from that first time that you planted. So in terms of money per hour, this is really the loop that you're going to be running. It won't include actually planting and growing the stuff. So I started previous day in the game. I did the same run, and the whole field was bare. I went to sleep, woke up, everything's grown. I started this run here. Before I did what I was doing here, which is have the worker and the crone mower, and then me behind them I had a tractor with is a Pottinger, just a single mower up front, and then this tipper in the back. I just found it was kind of slow, and I kind of wished I could get some windrowing going on. The crone does pretty well. It'll take 3 rows and then kind of windrow them into one. I also tried the Pottinger combo up front with the single mower and the 2 on the sides. All of that up front, and then a windrower in the back. If I were doing it myself, I guess that might be fine, but when you do it with the worker, they don't quite try and windrow 3 rows and then come around and do the same thing. It kind of overlaps a little bit. Ends up dragging your rows all the way to the end, which could be good because they end up all in one big pile, but it also might be a little slower. I felt like I was getting more speed with this current setup. So I decided to make my first run with this setup and see what we could do. I've set the time to 5x. I probably could be a little bit more aggressive with that. What I'm trying to achieve with that is I would like to fill up the bunker silo in biogas, compact it, cover it, and when that happens, I like it to be 1900 hours, because that's when you can start going to sleep. It's taking 12 hours for the chaff to turn into silage. So rather than wait while time is 120x or something like this, I'll just go to sleep and wake up and it's ready. It's cruise control, unload. Try and balance to both sides of these ramps. First I'll dump on the right side, then on the left, then the right, then the left. Try and keep it as even as I can. I gotta be really careful. The conveyors that are in there don't quite grab the entire width of the silo. So I don't want to dump this chaff up against the walls. I want to dump it closer towards the middle. Forgot where I left off over there. You see, both of the tractors I picked were the fast track. They're just fast. I feel like that helps me get things done a little quicker. You can see I can barely keep up with the worker and the mower right now. If I had anything slower than this, then that would be more difficult. I haven't tried, for example, using just a higher horsepower tractor. Let's actually take a look at that now. I know that most high-power tractors top out at 32, 35, 38 miles an hour. When we go ahead and take this guy back to biogas, we'll see what kind of speed we get. If we get anything over that, then this should be netting us the quickest time. Not really necessary to use the small fast track for the rollers. But I found that the all-wheel steering on that small tractor has been pretty useful. You can get some pretty tight turns. We're at 11 minutes now. I don't think I'm quite half done picking up the grass, and then I have to deal with the compaction and all this. I'm not sure if I need to include that in my time, because in terms of comparing grass silage to corn silage, the compaction or actual time it will take to create the silage from the chaff should be about the same. I think really where the difference is going to be is just in harvesting the field, which is why I've chosen to time grass first. I think it'll be more favorable just because all the things you have to do to get a whole field full of grown corn. It doesn't have to be grown. You can harvest it in the last growing stage. It'll give you the same yield. Getting that whole field of corn set up takes a while. Grass, though, there's two stages of fertilization. Grass always keeps itself on first stage, so you'll also save yourself time spreading fertilizer or spraying, however, whatever your favorite method is. I've chosen not to fertilize any further, or herbicide, or any of this, just to do like a base comparison, because the bonuses you get from fertilizing and such would be the same on each one, right? So if a base run on grass gives you more money than a base run on corn, I don't think percentage yield increase would alter that final result. Let's try and get my wheel just up on the mountain, get a bit of compaction going on as well. Hit our cruise control and start the dump. Sometimes I get a little worried here. These guys will get stuck down at 4 miles an hour or something, creating some pretty big heaps, which are a pain to deal with. And there I didn't let the cruise control do its thing, and instead I took over manually. And I ended up with a big heap at the end there. Really just trying to, you'll see I leave a large buffer between the beginning and the end of the bunker silo. That's just because I don't, maybe I'll show you when I get back there. But if you have chaff coming out either end of the silo and you cover it, then those pieces will stay as chaff. They won't get covered. And then weird things could happen with your conveyors. They could pick up the chaff instead. You'll get chaff blocked like I explained earlier. It just makes things quicker and neater. So it looks like we're at 15 minutes. I would say we're about halfway done here in terms of harvesting. And we'll move on to compaction and actual silage creation. I don't really bother much with these tips over here that the crone leaves. I just feel like it's kind of a waste of time. Maybe it's not if you think, if you have a better setup than this, or you think, for example, collecting those tips aren't a waste of time. You can go ahead and record or run yourself and see if you can get a higher profit per hour than I'm getting here. This is, I might have tried offline 3 or 4 different setups until I decided on this being a good first run. I'm sure there's some fine-tuning I could do here and there. Some people will point out some things that I missed. Looks like our mower's on the last row there. It's even picking up some of the grass from the outskirts or the outsides of the field. That'll help our yield a little bit, but in practical terms, it's not really doing much. There's some micro optimizations I could do, like just at the end of the field there where I make that U-turn. Could turn off and lift my machinery and make that turn a little faster, but I don't think in the end it's going to make a big difference. Helper E has completed their task. We got the crone over there. It's done doing what it needs to do. Like I said before, at 5x time, I think I could be a little aggressive. What I'd like to do is once I cover the silo, I like it to be 1900 hours. I'm going to go ahead and increase that to, let's do 30 for now. We'll see how we fare a little further down the road. It's also important for me, at least, is while I'm picking up the harvest, I like it to be daytime. It's just hard to see at night what's going on. So I've dropped 2 on the right side and 1 on the left side. Let's go ahead and even that out here. Drop this one on the left side. You can see I leave a lot of space between the start of the bunker and when I actually start dumping. Same on the other end, especially this far end over here. As I drive through a few times, I keep compacting and you'll see it slowly creeps forward. And if you don't leave a large distance between the end of the bunker silo and the end of your pour, it can easily start overflowing on your second, third pass. Oh, I haven't checked the speed. While we're not harvesting. While we're harvesting, it doesn't matter. We're locked to 12 miles an hour. It doesn't matter which tractor we're using. Unless we're using like a really low powered one. So I've gone back and forth 4 times. Maybe the fast track has helped us gain a little time there. I haven't tried to do a full speed run like this. I'm worried about the end there. I might just ignore the crone, just not move it at all, and just pick up whatever right before it. Oops. Did we miss some back there? It doesn't look like it. Oh, we might miss some there. Okay for now. I don't know if it's worth bringing in a windrower here. Maybe have the worker start from the other end where the crone is, so that these lines that are on my right, he starts pulling them to the left. That could give us a minute or two, I don't know. So we're at 20 minutes now. And looks like about... Oh, I thought I was full. I messed that up right there. Just pick up this line. It looks like we're about 75% done. Got about 3 more lines or 3 more rows to harvest. I just realized as I was picking up the other rows, I'd usually end up somewhere in the middle, which is kind of conveniently close to this entrance, biogas. I don't know if skipping that row back there kind of messed me up. I guess it didn't, because I started it from the beginning as well. So I've dropped 2 on the right, 2 on the left. I'll drop this 3rd one on the right here, just to try and stay even. Same thing, I'll try and get my wheels up on the mound. Give me a little buffer back there. Engage the cruise control. Let it move. You'll see, no, I guess it's at 6 or 7 miles an hour. I've just had cases where, oh, there's this big mound here. Let's see what happens to our speed. 6, 3, 4, oh, we got pretty stuck there. That's fine. It keeps the mound a little back from the edge there. Might make compacting a little more difficult, take a little more time. Let's look at our speed here. 32, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we're going 40 some miles an hour. I couldn't do that in a regular tractor. In almost any other tractor, actually. So the fast track's netting us a little extra time there. wonder if it's worth going for this little line we left there. I'm gonna say no. Just go for the next long one. I could turn off the machinery and make that U-turn quicker, but I'm not a really good driver. So I just keep the machinery on to pace myself on that U-turn. What's our timer? 24 minutes? That's pretty good. The first few runs, I was still figuring this all out. They might have taken me an hour to load the silo, and then I'd compact and create the silage after that. So it looks like we'll have the whole thing done in hopefully under an hour. I'll make it easy for us to get our profit per hour calculation. Kind of messed that one up. Just a little back there. That's fine. So we'll be full before we finish this row here. I wonder if it's worth coming back for what, half a row in that little bit that I left down there. This is what I was talking about, ending at about half the row next to the entrance. I haven't really tried to see which corner of the field is the best to start from. Maybe that's another smaller optimization for another time. I forgot my count. I think I have 3 on the right and 2 on the left. That's kind of what it looks like. So let's drop this one on the left here. Line it up, give us a buffer in the back, cruise control, control I to start that dump. Try and keep a little tight towards the center. Like I said before, those conveyors don't really pick up what's on the edges of the bunker silo. Oh, there's a little chaff there I left from. Before I told you if your chaff overextends the ends of the bunker silo, when you cover it, those ends won't get covered. That little pile you saw there is exactly that happened. I just picked it up and set it aside. Turn on this machinery. The chrome's up there. We'll go ahead and move it and pick up that extra little bit that's over there. Let's do that real quick. Let's put this guy aside here. Whatever, blocking the road. Oh, my wagon turned off. I didn't leave any, that's good. 27 minutes, just about to wrap up the field here. Pick up this last little bit. It's 27 minutes, 46 seconds. Let's call it 28 minutes. We're done actually harvesting. I think that's what I would call time in terms of harvesting the field. Like I said before, when I try and do this with corn later, I presume that these next steps of compaction, covering, and turning it into silage will take the same amount of time. So really the comparison is to be made in field harvest. Oh, I didn't turn my stuff off. I was wondering why that felt so slow. So I just have a little bit here. I'm going to try and dump it wherever it looks better. Looks like that left side's kind of close to the wall. Let's just try and get it in the center here. Oof, I don't want to hit that. Yeah, I got stuck. It's my tractor that's stuck. That's unfortunate. We're gonna lose some time here. Let's bring it off to the side. We're in clear. Start the dump. Alright, so we're done with this. Set this tractor aside, get in our compactor. Control V, get everything lowered. We'll just start with the right side here. I think we're kind of ahead of target in terms of being compacted by 1900 hours. Compacting is 35%. I'll just go forward and back on this side, and then forward on back on the other side until we hit 100. We have 330,000 chaff. So I suppose that table I showed at the beginning, corn would yield about double, maybe about 600,000 from that field over there. What I'm primarily concerned about is I don't think you can practically harvest that field in half the time. Just because you have to replant it every time. So you'll see I've left enough space here as I press it. It does creep backwards and forwards, but it's always staying well within the bounds of the bunker silo. It's usually this front bit here that'll overrun if anything does. But I made sure during this video to be kind of careful with that. Usually run cruise control while I'm dumping at 8 miles an hour. It's odd. Some cruise control speeds seem to have 2 clicks to them, so you could call it, 8.25 miles an hour and 8.75 miles an hour. I usually run on the lower click of 8 miles an hour. Maybe they originally set the cruise control to kilometers an hour, and that's why some miles per hour have 2 settings. Others don't. I don't really know if running 2 silage packers like this is the best thing to do, or if I should just have one in front and a weight on the other side, or one in back and a weight on the other side. This just looks like it might be the best thing to do. We're getting pretty flat sides here, which is always good in terms of handling. At 32 minutes, we're looking really good for beating that hour. That time I had said before, it took me about an hour to get these silos filled, was with 2 tractors, each running a single Pottinger up front and a forage wagon in the back, both controlled by bots or by helpers, workers. Looks like we were able to beat that time pretty handily, so I'd say we're off to a good start. Looking at 95% compaction. I don't think my reverse is going to get it for us. Will we get 4% backwards? Let's see. 7, 8, 9. Compacted. Let's cover it and go to sleep. I'm going to increase my time scale there to 120. Let's raise these so I can move a little quicker. Get off that. Come into the, usually as I compact this, they'll find, the 2 sides will find each other and connect at some point. So I'm curious what's about to happen when I cover. Oh, it looks like it covered. I don't know if technically they were touching or not. I don't know what would happen if they weren't, but this is the situation we're in now. Usually I'll teleport to my house. Now I'll just walk there because I have to wait for it to be 19 anyway. This is what I was saying about I should have been a little more aggressive with the time. Now I'm just burning time here. We're at 34 minutes and we're ready to go to sleep. I just get to stand around until it's 19. We hit 19 there. I'm going to bring my time scale down to 1 so that I don't forget. We're going to sleep. Usually I'll sleep 11 hours, so it's 7 in the morning, nice and bright. But this time I'll sleep 12 just to be triple sure that our silage will be completely fermented. We're done fermenting. It's the next day. Let's go uncover this. Go ahead and open that up. Turn on the belt here. I've seen a lot of people having trouble uncovering these things. You'll usually have to try and come with maybe a silage fork or something like this to try and, as you pick up a little bit on one end, it'll keep on unwrapping it. But the conveyor belt here does that job for us. It kind of takes this entire section and starts pulling silage from it. It will also unwrap it at the same time, which is really convenient. Now we're just in kind of a waiting game. If I set this up properly, I could just turn on this ramp here. Let's go ahead and try it. Turn on the belt. And also ask it to unload. You'll see it peeled back that cover or that tarp. It didn't keep unloading, so I'm just going to wait in this case. Usually what I'll see is as this guy pulls silage from the bunker silo, it'll get to around here, just behind the wheel. I was doing some testing earlier with these conveyor belts, and it seems that the range extends from the wheel axle in this direction, so in that direction over there, and it's also, let's see if this guy gets picked up. It's not the entire width of the silo, but it's pretty close. So it'll be from that axle, almost the width of the silo, to about here, which is why I've placed this conveyor specifically where it is right here, so that it can pull from its axle back and put it into the next conveyor's territory. Oh, something I forgot here. As this gets full, this guy gets full at 50,000. So what we want to try and do is not let that happen. I'll do that by increasing the time scale. Let's say about 15. Let's look at this number here. 19.2, 19.3, 19.4, 3, 4, 5. It's going up very, very slowly. So I'll set my time scale to 30x just for a little while. Then I'll bring it down to 15 where it is, kind of stays even with the input of the conveyors over here. So right now what I could do is, my grass has grown. I guess this will take a little while so I can go and show you that. I would start the loop again. This is why I was saying that 27-minute timer is really what I was interested in. So if we went to bed at 35 and we uncovered those things and they're running at 36, I could come back here and start the loop again. But for now, I'm just gonna chill out here and watch. Sometimes these things, this is a kind of hacky setup. You would expect to see maybe a conveyor, a ramp tied to a conveyor like this, and you'll have them extend out and push the conveyor back. If you want it to be, more real, push the conveyor back, start emptying the silo from that end over to this end over here. But I found this setup works pretty well. It also has like minimal parts, so I don't have like a ramp going all the way down this way and another ramp all the way this way. Not a ramp, another belt going all the way this way. I've chosen to use 2 of these ramps as opposed to this one. This one's about twice expensive as the, I guess the SL 8022 Quantum is about twice as expensive as the TC 8016, but it's not twice as long. And really, what I'm just interested in here is length. So, in terms of dollars per foot of conveyor, the TC 8016 does pretty well. You'll maybe even wonder why I don't just use this system more, one belt feeding into another. Is that what we call this, a belt? Conveyor belt. I'll just call it a ramp. Have that back ramp feed into this ramp, feed into this ramp, and then have maybe another ramp over there. And it's because you can't dump silage outside of the silo. So this would be the boundary right here. There's a line from the end of this cement wall to that cement wall over there, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where if you spread your chaff along the floor and it kind of seeps out to this area over here, when you cover it, it will only cover to this boundary here. And because you can't dump out there, for example, I move this conveyor, this guy wouldn't be able to dump into the ground. You can only dump into the bunker itself. This guy's allowed to dump, of course, because it's not dumping onto the ground, it's dumping into this belt. Let's check out our counter. It's gotten essentially to the bottom, so I'm going to bring it back to 15, and that'll be pretty balanced. We saw this guy starting to be able to turn on. So this guy's, I wonder if you could see, it looks like it's eating silage, yeah, from over there, and bringing it into the next ramp's area of effect. So that ramp over there is eating silage from here, or transporting silage from here. This ramp is transporting silage from here over there, and then we'll do the same thing with the back one. It's about these 3. I usually uncover this manually, but I'm going to see if this ramp does it. I know the tips and the center kind of have different mechanics. We'll see if that works or not. We're at 41 minutes. This actually takes a long time unloading this, which is why you would want to do something like stack it while you're out mowing the field again. Let's go ahead and turn this one on. Also tell it to unload. Yeah, so it's doing work. Oh, it did uncover the tips. Nice. Well, we see it stopped there. I'm not really sure what it is that allows it or doesn't allow it to dump into the next ramp's range. Just double checking. Yeah, I am unloading and the belt is on. So while in theory you would want to perhaps have a similar setup in the other bunker over here, so that you could go out and mow some grass while this is happening. This is kind of hacky and kind of finicky, so you need to pay attention to it. I guess it would be enough. I could go set up the mower, pick up, you know, a row and a half, 2 rows. Does it take to get the tipper to 100%? I can tip in this side over here, just have a setup just like I do over here. I'll tip in this side and then come and check these, and if everything's good, I'll go out and pick up some more grass. If I wanted to be hyper optimal with my time. We're at 15x time. This guy's only at 4,000. Still have about 240,000 silage left. This ramp's not pulling though. I think it's just because this middle section here is too full. I have to wait for it to be a little more empty. Belt is on and it's unloading. Yeah, you'll see we never picked up that piece. That's because the area of effect of this ramp, as I said before, is from this axle to about over there. And it's almost the width of the silo. So it would be to about here. Just this rectangle I'm trying to draw here. About this rectangle would be its area of effect. Sometimes I felt, oh, that did work. If these aren't dumping, I'll just tap reverse or forward. And they'll kind of come back to life, but I guess it's what I said earlier, this section here is too full. Hide my map and just chill out here in the corner for a while my conveyors do their thing. Something I have thought about is, instead of mowing the entire field and immediately making a silage, just skip to the next day and mow the field again, fill the bunker silo with 2 fields full of chaff. And I did try this previously. The problem I ran into is, like we saw over there, you need to increase your time multiplier so that the silage collector doesn't get full. And if I have two fields worth of chaff, 2 field 12s worth of chaff, I don't know how many acres that is, but it takes more than a day to fill the silage collector, so it kind of becomes unsustainable at that point, which is why I think just doing 1 field at a time would be enough. You could do the second, but you would do it on this side over here instead of trying to do it all in 1 bunker. Something else I could probably improve is this will generate a bunch of digestate. So while I was over here compacting, I could have a worker in the field spreading some digestate over there to get to the second stage of fertilization. Grass will keep itself here. Let's check real quick. Whoops. It'll always keep itself first stage of fertilization. You could get it to the second one with some digestate, but when I do the corn one, I want to do it kind of apples to apples, just what would be a bare field. And in this case, I do consider first stage fertilization of grass to be bare because it kind of happens by itself. But we could do a few runs corn, stage 1 fertilization, stage 2, see what kind of yields we get out of those and what our profit per hour is. When I say profit per hour, I mean real world hours, not in-game hours. In-game hours are kind of irrelevant. With the time multiplier and sleeping, you can almost control it any which way you want, except backwards, of course. See if we can get this ramp working. I'll just tap a little movement. No, that didn't work. Just gonna wait until this side is a little more empty. You'll see this pile here is out of the area of effect of the ramps. That's unfortunate. It actually might not be. It might be in that ramp's area of effect, but that ramp's currently pulling from this practically unlimited pile right now. So maybe when it runs out of silage here, it'll grab this piece. I hope so. So earlier it took us like 30 minutes to fill this silo with chaff. And we pretty much had these ramps set up and feeding into the silage collector at 35 minutes. So you could imagine that at 1 hour and 5 minutes, if we were out there mowing and gathering for this silo over here, we would have this side full at 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'm curious to see what our in-game time will be then. Because if this silo finishes, 1800 hours and we're done filling and compacting this at 1800 hours as well, then that's some convenient timing to get all that work done in parallel. I haven't seen, I think, difference between the value of, let's say, per liter of silage created from hay or grass or corn. The few experiments I've done, all chaff turns into the same amount of silage that sells for the same amount of money. I wonder when we do a corn run, we should get about double yield. Is that what that table said? Let's double check. So imagining that the silage sells for the same, you get about double the money for corn silage. I'm assuming that comes from about double the yield. So having this silo full with 2 times as much chaff, I wonder what, in terms of managing it, practically will be. Mostly, I mean, when I come with the tractor, you'll see sometimes the tractor will get stuck, or in terms of compaction, it might roll forward or back outside of the limits a little bit easier, just because there's so much more. $145,000 silage left. I can't remember when we turned these on, around 40 minutes, so it's been a little before 40 minutes. It's been emptying for about 15 minutes. We're at 140,000. How much did we have while we filled it? About 300,000, so maybe we're halfway done. In 15 minutes, looks like it takes 30 minutes to empty, which is about as much as it takes us to fill the silo itself. So yeah, that's pretty good. Optimization of work there. We could have been cutting that grass out there and filling this side while this side processed. See what our costs were in terms of wages. Oh, I dropped a house yesterday. Property maintenance is negligible, really. Field costs, not much. Wage payments, 400 for the whole field. I'd say that's negligible as well. I think we're gonna net probably about 50,000 for this haul. This second conveyor's area of effect is, I think we're close to seeing the end of it. Let's see what happens there. Oh yeah, this guy turned on. That's funny, when I see this kind of on-off pattern, it usually means that we're full at the end over there. So the silage collector will be full and it'll empty itself a little bit. It doesn't look like it's full. When I see that happen, usually this guy's at maxed out at 50,000. It'll empty a little bit, processing, make some space there, and then this will turn on again. I wonder why this ramp back here is turning on and off. That's fine though, we still have a continuous flow of silage going into the collector, so. In practical terms, it's irrelevant that this one's intermittent. Intermittent, is that how you say that? These ramps don't replace themselves. As you'll see, as I compacted the chaff, some of it got like under the ramp and lifted it. They don't reposition themselves. Sometimes they'll be in the air and not scoop silage properly, but if I just get in it, maybe tap forward or back, it'll reset. I guess it's not actually in the air yet. We'll see that later. When this little mound gets pulled out from under its feet, it won't fall down. We have to get in it and reposition it ourselves. Whoops. We're about to hit the hour mark. We still have 90,000 silage left from what would be yesterday's harvest. I think we'd be about, if we had gone out to harvest the field again, this side, we'd be on the compacting stage, I feel. I think that does mean that we would we'd be waiting to go to sleep before this side is actually finished, but that's fine. I'm really curious if that first ramp is going to pull this pile out. If not, that's kind of unfortunate because then I have to come up and pick this up manually. I don't think I can dump chaff in here if there's still silage inside. This guy's not in the air yet. So it looks like I said at the beginning I wasn't really sure what to set my time multiplier at while I was harvesting the grass field. I think 15 would be fine. 30 might be a bit much. This guy's just on the edge there, barely actually falling in here. I tried to keep this output. Initially I had just a straight line over there, but that was kind of problematic. At the beginning when I was laying down the chaff on the right and on the left side here, it was a little problematic because it would go straight from here over there, and pulling my tractor out, sometimes I would hit the conveyors, and repositioning these is not fun. I don't have mine hooked up. Some people will press Q and have them hooked up. It's just harder to get it right that way, and there's really no need. So we'll see this guy's in the air here, just kind of floating. So if I jump in it, it's still floating. If I just tap backwards or forwards, yeah, it'll reposition. When I harvested the field over there, which field is it? 12. I harvested field 12 twice, filled this up. When I did the compaction, actually a lot got under this ramp here, and this back end was kind of in the air, maybe up at this level. When I got to this stage, it stopped pulling silage because it was essentially just up here. I don't know what happens with the area effect of the ramp when it's tilted in that manner, but it wasn't picking up the silage, so I had to jump in and reset its position like I did just now. In this case, I think it was fine. I didn't really have to do anything, but we'll just reset it for the next run. So we hit the 1 hour mark. I think we had said it maybe 1 hour and 5 minutes. We would have this side full as well. I think we still have 5 minutes to empty this silo over here. Might be done about An hour 10. Looks like this ramp is done picking up all it can. That's unfortunate. I'll have to manually come in and clean up these bits. Really important when you're done, turn off the belt and stop the unloading. If you don't do that when you come back to fill this with chaff, it'll start moving chaff into the silage collector. And oh, look, it did pick up this bit here. It'll move chaff into the belts, and you'll get blocked by that chaff. It's kind of a pain to get that all cleared out so that you can move silage through it again. Looks like we're going to stay at 714 there. Let's turn off our ramps. Turn off belt. Stop unloading. Oops. And we'll do the same over here. Turn off belt. You don't stop unloading on this one. You just never unload it in the first place. It auto unloads when it detects that this is a good place to dump. What are we at? 1 hour, 7 minutes? Looks like we're done. I just jump in them so they stop making the noise. Still some time, so let's speed up our clock here. Get this empty. We also won't get paid. We could say we're kind of done with time at 1 hour, 7 minutes. Is it 1 hour, 10? Just call it that. We won't get paid until midnight. In practical terms of money per hour, that doesn't mean much. So as time passes there, let's check, bring up a calculator here real quick. We've got, what, 3,949, 950. I guess that's not as important. It'll tell us at the end of the day how much we got. Took us about 1 hour and 10 minutes. What's that, 70 minutes? .16 hours. So you can imagine we could have that second silo full, and just like we did before at 1900 hours, we'll come here and sleep for 12. Then it would be done fermenting. What's our income here? 119,000 divided in let's call it 1.15 hours. It's 103,000 per hour. So this is our final number. I'll go ahead and reply to the Reddit thread with this and see if we can get any better times from other users or maybe myself in the future. Thanks for watching.